We are live with a different setup. Oh, my bow's canceled out. Give me just a sec. My bows are connecting. There we go. Cool. All right. I think we are connected now. Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Got a different audio setup. I think my headphones finally went out. They've been on the fritz for just a little while, but let me know in chat if you can see me and hear me okay. Again, audio is probably a little different this time. Hopefully it's cleaner, but it might be softer. I haven't adjusted these levels yet. So again, let me know in the chat that you're hearing and seeing me okay. No audio. Well, that's a problem. No audio. Test, 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 test. Sound. Oh, are we good? Are we good now? Adrian, are you getting audio? It's low. All right, well, let's bump it up just a little bit. Oh, and apparently I totally zoomed in my screen. I think this version of Ecamm Live, this little recording software I'm using, is buggy. It's not all bumped up to 100%. Hear you normal. Yeah, this doesn't have a preamp. It's just one of the little amp. It's just one of the little USB ones. So again, I think my audio one's crapped out. So hopefully this is okay. If not, I can put the other ones on real quick, but yeah, you might just have to turn me up for this particular live stream. So all right. We'll keep going. As long as the audio is working, we might just have to bear with a lower audio for this one. So again, let me know in the chat if it gets terrible. I'll try to put these on, but when I was coaching with these yesterday, they were clipping a bunch and crapping out. And I've had those things for 6 years, so I think they finally just bit the dust. I need to order some new ones. I do this for podcasting so I can post-product the sound a little better, so I know it's probably muted. Let me just turn it up just a bit more. Let's try that a bit. Crank it up just a bit. All right, so we'll live with it. Okay, so Blueprint. What we want to do with Blueprint today is squash that last open bug right here. Everything else, like we talked about last time, is a community enhancement. So it's things that, hopefully someone in the community picks up. When I get time, later, I'll come back to it. But for today, these just aren't things I'm probably going to focus on because I kind of feel like Blueprint is, once these bugs are done, and of course things like that, or documentation, people, I feel like it's feature complete. So for now. Yeah, again, sound's probably a bit low. Just turn me up on your side. I won't make any more adjustments, so feel free to turn up the volume on your sides for, again, just this video, and I'll get things worked out for next time. So let's jump into this bug. And this has been sitting out here for a little bit. It's actually been attempted to be solved, and I think Yoast or Jost or whatever the appropriate way to pronounce that is, had submitted a PR for this and even made a change to it. But long story short, I think there was just a bit of a philosophical difference in his approach versus kind of what I wanted to do. So after all kind of the back and forth here on the different stuff, basically, yeah, he had kind of made a separate add-on package to generate tests kind of the way he liked, or he likes, or whatever. It's opinionated, which is fine. That's cool. But I need to fix this for Blueprint itself regardless. So let's kind of get back to the in issue. So yeah, that's the other thing. I never realized I looked down at my keyboard so much when I type. Like a little third grader or something. I remember that in my typing class, when I was a kid. But I look down at the keyboard a lot, and this mic setup makes it weird. I gotta I don't know why I do that. I'm not like really looking at the keys. It's more of a habit. See, I just did it again. Anyway, let's go to our turbo, or well, first of all, let's check out master, get on the right branch, and get everything pulled down. Get all the latest stuff, because there have been a few changes, just nothing I've committed just yet. Or nothing I've tagged just yet. So let's go, let's go to turbo Zonda, and we're on that blueprint branch already. So let's do a pb paste draft.yaml. So basically, we're going to take the YAML file they recommend and see that it yields whatever issue we're talking about here. So let's kind of get this up and running. So let's check out the status. Let's do a git clean -fd on app and database, and git reset --hard. I just kind of want to clean up where we are. Okay, cool. So we got the draft file, PHP artisan blueprint draft, or build. Sorry, I'm not awake this morning. Okay, so we had some kind of low-level debugging that we were doing here. Oh, speaking of which, we're probably on the wrong... Yeah, we've got our hacks from last time here. I never messed with anything on this branch, so let's do composer require --dev laravel shift blueprint master. Let's get the master branch, and this will blow away our changes and make sure we have the latest work. So we'll give that just a second. And let's go. We're going to need it anyways, so let's go ahead and bring up, let's bring up Atom while that's running. Yeah, see, Ecamm Live just switched to my desktop. I feel like this, I just updated like right before I started, which is always a bad idea. Or well, it'll show up. Yes, ignore all my changes. Yes to discard them. It's kind of a cool feature of Composer actually that it does that. Okay, now we should be able to run build and Atom. And there we go. Okay, so going back to the issue, these tests will run, I guess. Risky tasks, did not perform any assertions. Inspect the certificate controller, store saves. Okay, we can do that. Store saves. Okay, yeah, here's the issue I think they're getting at. Yeah, I see what's going on here. Question, why do you always use Atom for Turbo Zonda? Oh, that's kind of just a developer trick I do. It's just a little habit. Like when I have PHP Storm up, I'll leave PHP Storm focused on like my primary project that I'm working on, like the main thing I'm working on, and I'll just pop up Atom or even VI, or Vim in a pinch. So if I just want to view one file, like I'll just pop up Vim from the command line. But like if I want to kind of browse through a project just really quickly and then I'm gonna close it down, then it's Atom. Don't ask me why necessarily. I mean, I know you can bring up multiple instances of PHP Storm, but I don't know. I just don't. It's just kind of how I work. It's just a little personal workflow. Could you make the string bigger? Honestly, I should be. Oh crap, you're right. Sorry about that. Like I said, my computer restarted right before, which is why I was a bit late. Normally I go down to 1080p. Sorry about that. Let me fix that real quick. Nope. Let's go here and launch Zerdaemon. And yeah, sorry. Oh no, I am on 1080p. This is what I normally host at, so let's see what it looks like when we get in PHP Storm, but hopefully this is okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so long story short, the ultimate issue is that this shorthand, resource shorthand, gets compiled down or translated into a longer set of things. And ultimately, it has something like validate certificate is what it does. Certificate, if I spelled that correctly. So certificate. There we go. So ultimately, that resource API kind of gets turned into something like that, like a store. And then in there's validate. And then, of course, there's more stuff that happens here, right? Now, that's the rub right here. This is our issue, is that underneath, that's why we're getting down here at this level, and hence the bug, is it is building certificate. It doesn't know what it is because it doesn't map to a model or anything like that. So it's just defaulting to make it a fake word, and then it's passing that in. What it should really be doing is reading the model and saying, name or title or whatever it is. That's what it should be doing. And it has the resources to do so, or the power to do so. Blueprint does, that is. To figure all this out. It's just kind of not doing that. And again, in the process of kind of explaining what was missing and so forth, there was some nuances about how you could test differently. And that's all fine and good. We're just not going to get into that necessarily today. I want Blueprint to generate as straightforward a code as possible. If you want to make the code fancier than what Blueprint generates, or unconventional, or whatever you want to call it, that's totally fine. It's just not what Blueprint aims to do. I want to make sure that it gives you, default, super simple, fundamental Laravel code. So that's why we're going to do it this way. Long story short, case closed. Okay, so let's get rid of Atom. We see the issue now. Let's get rid of Atom. And I'm going to stick in PHP Storm now, so if the font size is still, for whatever reason, still too small, let me know. I'm kind of wondering, did it kick me back to my defaults, even though... Let's just check this. No, see, there's my defaults, which are much... Let's go back to 1080p. This is what I normally screencast as. So, if it's still too small, I'll bump up the font size in PHP Storm because we'll be in here for a little bit. Okay, so let's go to, Adrian. Yeah, exactly. That's the question. So screw it. Let's just address the question, then dance around the issue. Let's see here. Somewhere in here, I think on their PR, we went a little more back and forth about the different ways you can generate it. And basically the long story short here, the joke was I'm Team Atom. And this exemplifies it really nicely. Okay, so a few months ago, Caleb basically was like, hey, look at this super simple streamlined test. It's just, I'm just generating a factory for the user and generating another one and then calling edit and, making sure that it got updated. And it's that's totally nice, right? And to Caleb's point here, this is really sweet. It's just a really simple, streamlined test. But basically, Atom was kind of this is super cryptic. You don't know what the test is really doing or what you're really testing. It's a little too it's a little too tierce, right? You don't want your tests to have these really fancy codes and bits of logic. Your tests should really, if anything, if any part of your code needs to focus on communication, in my opinion, it's your tests. Your tests can serve all sorts of purposes. They can truly serve a specification requirement, a technical documentation. They can serve a lot of purposes. So when I'm saying I'm Team Atom, I'm more in the camp that I want my tests to be almost, again, a little bit stupid, a little bit dumb to read. And sure, you can look at them and say, man, I could do that different ways. I could do that faster. But I just want to have very declarative code. So when, to the original point here, when they're newing up a factory and you're relying on the factory to give you different data or fake data underneath, you're not really communicating what your goal here is that the stub is your fake data and you're using it for fake data and you're making sure that, in this case, your profile got updated with that fake data. So again, it's just a little cryptic. You can take a second, you can read it, you can understand it. It's not hard, right? It just doesn't communicate. Cryptic Atom, in my mind, is saying what I'm saying, which is it doesn't communicate as well. So that's the full story. No more long story shorts. That's the full story right there, is here. So that's where we disagreed. That's where I'm Team Atom, quote unquote. And that's the code Blueprint's going to generate, because that's what I believe anyway. I want to make sure that it communicates. So if you want to use factories or shorthands or, small little stuff, then Yoast already has a streamlined, opinionated add-on that you can do that'll generate different tests for you. So you can use it. But Blueprint will generate the generic, vanilla, your father's PHP code. Old school. All right. Let's get into it now. Blueprint. Okay. Why is Atom still running? Get out of here, Atom. Atom. Okay, so let's go back to that controller Lexer, and we'll just kind of start at the top. And again, this is more educational. So here's our issue right here. The validate says like, okay, validate singular. So this is where we're getting that ultimate validate command of, certificate. And the issue is that the form request generator is smart enough to see that and identify that. If we go look at the form request generator, it somewhere in here probably knows like, hey, this is a model, and go read its properties to use as a shorthand. So let's kind of find that code, because that's basically the code we're going to use ourselves. So let's kind of see where this is. We got model for context. So I'm trying to kind of understand this code. Hold on a sec. I'm kind of like off. There we go. I'm not like centered on my screen. I was like way over here. All right, cool. So model for context, qualifier. I'm trying to find the code in here where this is smart enough to determine the columns. Model for context, if it's not null, does it have the column? See, it definitely reads out the models. So this register models is something I've been wanting to refactor for a long time, because like it's like used in every generator, and every generator replicates this code or duplicates it. So, okay, so we go through the controller methods, we find all the validate statements. That's pretty straightforward. We pull out the context of the controller just to see if it's the same as the context you're using. But where's the fancy stuff? Let's go check out validate statement. See, it just has data. So my understanding is that this is just certificate, right? That's my guess. I'm sure we have some tests that focus on this. Let's look at fixtures, let's just bring up the sidebar, not the favorites, the sidebar, which of course is in my way. All right, fixtures. I want to look at some form request fixtures and see if we can just here we go, certificate store. Awesome. So who uses that? Certificate store. There we go. Yes, let's run this. And this uses what? What's the draft file that this uses? Where are you? There we go. Model reference validate. Perfect. There we are. This is exactly what we want. Okay, so let's see what the form request is doing differently in this case, and basically just make the test generator do the same thing. And I think that's kind of probably the simplest approach. So let's go back to our blueprint, land, and let's hone this test down, which of course will pass. I don't think we're doing, no data providers. So this should just be one test vendor, bin, PHP unit, filter, just that. Great. Of course it runs and it passes. But what I want to do is throw some little tracer bullet debug statement kind of stuff to better understand where this thing is figuring out the validation rules. So it's probably in here is my guess. Let's see what, not printar. Let's be fancy with dump. There we go. Let's dump model. And I kind of also want to know what qualifier and column are. Look at me looking at my keyboard. Let's do column. Let's just see what these are. Okay. So certificate and certificate. Okay, so qualifier is capital certificate and columns lowercase. So that's what it found. So let's backtrack this just a little bit. So here we go. We return validate data. Here we go. So we definitely know that this is lowercase certificate. Let's just DD this so we don't get confused. Yeah, exactly. So that's lowercase certificate. Okay, so when we build the rules, we loop over the data effectively. We split the field into whatever. If there's no qualifier, then we use the controller context, which in this case is irrelevant, and we pass that down to validation rules. That makes sense. Okay, and here's the kicker. We look for the model for context on the qualifier, but here's the part we care about. If model has column, then we build that rule straight up. Otherwise, we assume that you mean the model. Here we go. This is it. This is the fanciness. Rules from column. Cool. Okay. Here's the code we want right here. Just these few lines of code. Okay, so that's a little bit cryptic. That should probably be refactored better. I definitely am going to reach a place where I'm either going to need to refactor this into cleaner stuff or start writing the fancy Laravel cascading rules, because that was kind of evident now that we found it, but definitely took me a minute, reintroducing myself to the code. But here's the catch. This isn't... I could definitely see where this produces bugs, just kind of thinking about it now that we're in the code. I'm not going to fix this today necessarily, but if you had a model named user and you had a column named user on another table, and they were both in your draft file, like somehow you could end up here and be generating the wrong validation rules. So like this should probably be a special case, to be honest, and this would actually communicate in the code a lot better. This should just be like if, validate statement has a single field and, it's a model, then, create validation from model columns, right? There shouldn't be a case where you could mix and match. So right now, like technically, if we wrote a draft file just so perfectly, or we had models that were named, you could say something like certificate and then like user.name and then something generic like city. And even though you mean city on whatever you're validating, like if city was a model, this could, go find that. So I wouldn't call it a bug, but it's kind of like an undocumented nuance, if you will. It's a feature, not a bug. All right, anyway, let's start fixing, right? I'm not going to worry about that because it's not broken. Again, it's just kind of like, it's a really weird thing that could throw somebody off someday, or people could like abuse and be like, oh, look, I can do this with Blueprint, which is fine with me. That's cool. Okay, so we want this code. Let's go look at our test generator. And let's kind of, this file's a beast, okay? That's also why, oh, that's not good. Sorry about that. My, I guess Bose, like, it turned itself off because I guess there hasn't been any chats or anything. So hopefully just to double check on the audio, make sure everything's still good. People are still hearing me. There's no weird echo or anything. Let me know in the chat. But yeah, my Bluetooth headphones actually turned off because there was no signal coming back to them. All right, we'll keep going. Okay, so the test generator is huge. But we know we want to focus on the validate statement. So let's just find where it is. Here we go. So effectively, audio is cool, no dropout. Good, thanks. Okay, so basically, this is where we need to do some of the magic. So right here we go. We're looping over that. We're doing, look, it looks very, very similar. And we even have the is null bit and the model for context, but we don't really have, we don't really have kind of the else in here that says, oh, okay, if you're just a full-on model, then do this, do this instead. So I'm just trying to think. We should probably, even though I don't like it, we should probably build this to be conducive, matching. I don't want to say symmetrical, but this should work the same way as form request generator does. I shouldn't limit this, even though I kind of want to limit this to just the single model kind of thing we were talking about a second ago. We should probably support this to work the same way form request does. So we should support the same behavior is what I'm trying to say as form request, even though it's not the intended behavior, the originally intended behavior. Okay, first things first, git checkout -b fix, what is this sucker? This is not the pull request, 207, fix 207. All right, where are we? Git diff -w, what did I change here? All right, let's reset hard that because we don't want that. I was just kind of tooling around. Okay, let's get a failing test going for this, and then we'll kind of start debugging and hacking through this because I'm hoping, I'm just going to go ahead and paste this code while we have it. It's a little bit ugly, but I just want to paste that out of my buffer real quick. So let's just dump that so we have it as a reference, and let's get back to generating a failing test, which just call your branch whip. Frake! What's up, man? Oh, Frake. Always on bad behavior, Frake. I thought the Belgians were supposed to be like really nice people. You're an instigator. That's right. Devil man. All right, cool. So we already have a good test. This model reference is actually a good test. So let's wire this up in our test generator test, and go from there. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this because we should just end up getting it all to work. So this is explosions in the sky. Yeah, we're about to see some explosions in the sky. Watch this. Reference validate.yaml. And then we want this to generate a test case, of course. So this will be feature HTTP, what is that? Certificate controller test. And this will be model reference validate. That's kind of a lame name. This is really more like API shorthand validation or something. What do we want to call this? API shorthand validation. How about that? We'll just start there. Okay. So let's go make these files. So Blueprint's happy. So if we do vendor bin PHP unit, we should get an explosion in the sky. There we go. And always want to look at your failure messages. Don't assume we're ready to jump into the code. This is actually a failure because I don't have this file. So let's touch that file and we'll run just these again. Vendor bin PHP unit. Okay, good. Now we're in a little bit of a different place. We're not getting the full-on failure here. It's actually a lot of generated code. Ugh. I kind of want to like hone in on just that validate statement. That's okay though. That's okay. What's interesting though is that it didn't say the other one was it didn't say this was missing. Do I already have this? Oh wait, no. That's just a logical reference. This is actually the physical class file. So let's do this. Let's take what was generated and use it as a base. So we'll actually we'll fix this just a bit. Let's do pb paste and output that. And now let's go open the API shorthand validation. Okay, and this should now pass, which passes currently. So we basically backfilled a test that automatically passes, but now we're going to make the changes that exemplify the bug. So this is effectively demonstrating that, hey, Blueprint works the way it works right now, but we know that right now it's not working very well. So let's fix this the way we think it should work. So store saves, and let's bring up our reference. And now, what does this do? This is pretty dense. Actually, I see some of the nuance in what this requires now. This is actually going to be harder to solve than I thought because of this. So let's get halfway there. That might take a little longer than just today's stream, but we'll maybe ignore that part for now and kind of get the others. The others should be pretty quick. We'll see how quick that happens. Okay. Let's go back here and let's just start kind of writing this the way it should be. So this should really be name and probably words fine. We'll find out. We're going to skip that certificate. And the example in the issue also have certificate type. Oh, in the, yeah, okay. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, this is, that part's definitely going to be interesting. So we're going to kind of skip that for now, but that is a extra nuance to all this. So let's do reference. We have document. All this is kind of unnecessary, to be honest. We should probably trim this down, but that's okay. And then remarks, text is nullable, so I don't think we validate nullable fields, which means we won't pass it in. So that'll be a good test as well. So this will be, is there a date? Yeah, fake or date, I think. I'm not sure what the fake things supplied right now are, so we'll find out. But let's drop that out. Whoops. And let's fix these the way we want. So this is going to be more like an arrow and that, and then we really want these to be that and a comma, and then quote those and drop the dollar signs and format all that. All right, cool. Oh crap, did it just kill some use statements? I think it might have. No, it should be okay. All right, let's see how off this is. So, yeah, so good. So it's not showing that up now. I'm just trying to think of the way this test should look. This test should look, I think the interesting thing is this gets built by this as well. So we kind of need to do the same thing here. Again, all this is very, very explicit code, which I think is okay, kind of starting out. So let's do that. And this should all be where clauses with no comma afterward. And then that should be fine. And I guess there's no other assertions that happen here. Okay, let's see if we can get the code. This test is never going to pass until we solve this. But I could just drop this out. For the purposes of this test running, I could just drop this out of the YAML, and we should see that this test passes. So for today, that's going to be the goal. If this happens in like 10 minutes, then I'll keep coding. But I like to keep these about an hour, and we're already, we only have about 20 minutes left. So, okay. So let's go in here. And another thing I'm going to do just to avoid some of the noise is let's just comment those out real quick. And let's focus on just this. So filter equals where also takes an array. Yeah, that's fine. Again, just super simple code. I know there's, denser ways to write that. Okay, so we have more stuff. Let's see. We should be fine to close this now. We really just want to focus on the test generator. So let's give ourselves some maximum screen real estate. Okay, what I want to do is dump local model, and let's see what's up. Category. What is category? With custom namespace correctly. Wait a second. Did I get the wrong test? Oops, sorry. I did. I picked the wrong test. Sorry about that. Let's go back. I was like, why is this passing? I really want, no. Which one is it? No. There we go. Is that the only place this is used? Yeah, okay, there we go. That was the wrong filter. Filter equals blah, blah, blah. There we go. Okay, there's our failing test. So let's see if we can get this to generate, a little more closely to what we're after. And honestly, too, update's going to need to be fixed as well. So even though this is a really, really big test, it's going to test all the things. So it's just sometimes when you try to make one test to do everything, it takes longer to write. So again, we'll see how far we get. So let's dump local model, and hopefully I see certificate up here. So I got user. Oh, why did this run twice? I'm getting certificate. That's good. For each. I gotcha. So let's do this. Let's just dump statement data up here. Let's do that. Okay, so certificate, email password. What is email password doing? Where does that come from? Oh, there's 2 tests being run here. What's that about? 3 tests. How are 3 tests running when I'm filtering? Sorry, that's why this is confusing. Chest generator tests. How are 3 tests running? Output generates tests for controller tree. I know it's using the data provider, but there shouldn't be 3 tests. I'm not sure where email and password are coming from. It's weird. I understand why there's 2 instances of this, because you got store and you got update. So that makes sense. But I don't know what's going on with email password. That's weird. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. All right. I'm getting some different ideas here. Sorry, I'm pausing so much. I'm just kind of remembering. I'm starting to remember the discussions around this PR, And I remember around the same time someone had fixed the form request to handle this kind of shorthand where you could just say, oh, validate this model. And Blueprint was smart enough to go figure out the model. And I remember talking, I think, in their thread that really if the Lexer were smart enough to expand it, and you did that at the Lexer level, then everything below it kind of just works, right? Because you've already expanded the model into the appropriate validate statement. So by the time you got down here, the validate statement wasn't, certificate, and you had to do all this stuff. It was appropriately like name, whatever the other stuff was, reference, document, date, or whatever that was. That was your validate statement by the time it got parsed. So it's kind of like we do in Blueprint. It's kind of like we do in Blueprint parse, where we automatically expand those shorthands very, very early on. So things just work. You don't have to if you do code higher, that's less code you have to do lower, right? And when you do code lower, it's normally, denser and harder to write because you're at a really low level, or takes more code to write. So I remember kind of that discussion. Headphones dropped out again. Anyway, we'll keep going with this because you kind of need this code no matter what, but it's just, I don't know, it's a quick thought. Okay, so let's undo this. And yeah, that would definitely be much cleaner. Exactly. So I think for the purposes of this, let's demonstrate adding this code at a low level, but I'll probably, kind of like last time, I'll sit on it for a little bit, and maybe next week or something, what we can do in these live streams is like a focus on like more of a refactor. I think that would be fun. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat. But let's get this working. So if is null and it has the local column, otherwise just print out the word. So we have the same logic that we knew we had in our form request. This is the same stuff. It's just collapsed into one. So instead of being like if and if, it just goes down here. So here's our catch. So I bet you if we dump, well, first of all, let's pull these back out. But if we were to just dump, what is it called? Data local model? Yeah, let's dump local model. I bet you here we would get certificate twice. That's what I'm betting. So there's certificate once, certificate twice. There we go. So this is all already working. So this is where our code goes. All right. So we figured out where the code goes now. We don't want to return rules. So let's just kind of start catering this to generate some better data. Now, again, this isn't going to solve, it's not going to fix the issue entirely, but it is a step in the right direction. And we'll go from there. Okay, so what does the actual code that generates these columns do? Okay, so it gets the local column, and if it's an ID or a UUID, and it has a reference. So this code, I think I added recently, it deals with properly generating a factory for that other column, which is actually good. This code actually would help us with that certificate type ID right here. So that's good. This is good code. Otherwise, we generate the proper fake data for that. So this is the code we want. Rename model to local model. Oh, yeah. I wasn't there yet, but yes, you're right. So we can, to your point, rename that to local model as column. I think column's going to override some stuff. So let's just call this local column just to be sure. And then we'll do local column name. And here's where life gets interesting. Here's where life gets interesting. We can generate the faker here, but the expectation from the code above is that we're looping. Or not looping, sorry. This outputs one bit of fake data. Whereas this creates the assumption that we're generating multiple bits of data here. So we actually would need to make this whole thing an else if, and here in the for each we would have to build out the variable names, which we don't have all of that yet. So let's take this. That becomes the data that we generate. And now we just need to come up with variable name. And I think this will work. So what's variable name? Variable name gets set much, much higher. That's interesting. So variable name's just data. So what's variable name here? Just data. So it would just be the local column name here. So yeah, that's probably fine. So local column name, local model. This probably needs to be, I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused on what's what here. Column and local column, these are terrible names. What was I doing? This might need to, what does faker data take? That's definitely local column name, so that one's right. What was this though? Local model column. Why would you do that again? Why wouldn't you just get local? I think this should just be local bit. Yeah, it should just be local column. And then this should be local column name for the variable name. And I think, let's just check for explosions in the sky, as Frake would say. Let's see where we end up. Okay, so we've got name, faker name, certificate type is random digit not null, as Yoast predicted it would be. Word, date, that's good, and remarks are text. I'm surprised remarks are in there. That should be a nullable column, so it shouldn't actually get added. But notice that our other sections are not being added. So for now, for the purposes of this stream, I can live with this. This is good. This is a good start and a step in the right direction. Let's see how this is generated, because my guess is this dictates this as well. So let's kind of take a look at that. Request data, cool. Setup data. So somewhere else, I bet you there's an eloquent statement. I think blueprint config.php has a setting for that. A setting for what? Here we go. Eloquent statement. Request data. Okay, so we have request data, and we should be looping over it. For each request data as key value. Yeah, see, we should. %s is indent key. Okay, yeah, datum. Huh. We should already be looping over that. So where, maybe we're not setting request data properly up here. Where were we? We were, yeah, request data. Data. Yeah, what's data? That's probably what we got wrong. So what is this? Data? Where does data come from up here? Oh, it's the variable name. Okay, so this, or wait, no, it's not the variable name. for each data. Oh, I'm just resetting it over and over and over and over again. Okay, I see. So this probably needs to be local column name. Let's see where that does. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so two caveats here, which we may be able to solve. I don't know. We'll see. Or we can definitely solve. I just don't know if we'll be able to do it now. So first of all, skip nullable fields, because that's what the form request does. And then also support references, right? So we would need to properly generate that, which is not going to be as hard as I thought, because we actually have that code here. So I think we'll save this for next time. What we're going to do, part of me is tempted to push this out in its current state, because at least it's better than it was. It's generating all the data now. It's just generating like more than you need, so to speak. It would be very easy if I could at least like finish this part, the skip nullables. That should be pretty easy. So if we skip the nullables and then we could just kind of like tie this up, it would be a partial fix. And honestly, it would probably work better than it does now, because right now it's generating like completely incorrect code. Like you're going to look at that test code and be like, what is certificate? That's weird. At least it's generating the right columns now. It's just kind of the only ones it's messing up on are references. So again, it's a step in the right direction. It's a big step in the right direction, in my opinion. So yeah, part of me is thinking to release this because it's better. It's definitely better than it was. I don't know. I'm open to input in the chat. Yes. Okay, Yost, I know what you're saying now. You're saying that nullable fields are potentially generated depending on the configuration settings. So that's a good point. Let's go look at the factory generator, or no, form request generator, and take a look at that. Is there a nullable in here, or null? What is that called? Config. Where is our config blueprint file? What do we call that? Fake nullables. Here we go. Oh, it's not in the form request generator. It's in the factory. Oh, you know what? The form request generator does. Oh, sorry. It's the factory generator that would have it. So this, there it is, fake nullables. Okay. So basically, if this is on, if fake nullables are on, then we would assume that you want to pass it into the data. This is kind of a different category, to be honest. Spend some more minutes to address the 2 points and make it quick and dirty. Yeah. I'm at least going to do, I think I'll do nullables. I'm not going to do the other one. I think it's going to be, the other one's going to take too much time, and I've got other things to do today. So let's get the nullable one though, because that really shouldn't be that bad. It's just a matter of skipping it. So let's just kind of hack that out real fast. And then we can tweak our test to pass based on what we know today. And yeah, we'll clean it up and refactor next time. Or we'll finish it, I guess, and refactor next time. So let's look at the test generator. And the skipping of nullable fields is basically here. So basically, if you're saying fake nullables, you know what? I just want to skip nullables regardless. This is irrelevant. If you're writing a happy path test, you're writing the simplest code that works. You're not worried about sending in nullable fields or not. And since, well, actually, that's kind of irrelevant. What matters is what we generate for the form request. That's what matters. And it doesn't look like the form request skips. Well, it makes a validation rule. Sorry, I'm talking ahead of myself here. Let me bring up the code. Certificate store. Here we go. So it makes this, but it doesn't make it required. So the point I was saying a second ago is it's kind of irrelevant if you fake nullables or not. We would want to skip nullables in a test regardless, just blanket statement, because that's not what we're testing here. We're writing you the happy path test, and the happy path test shouldn't necessarily, do the variations of all the different types of rules. That's not what this test is about. This test is about just saying, hey, look, you can call this controller with this set of data, and it saves it to the database. So if it's not required, we don't need to send it. It's less test code to write. So I'm making the call on that one. No nullables. I heard some stuff in the chat. Sorry, my chat closed. No nullables. Look at that. See? Great minds think alike. All right, Adrian says no nullables too. So let's skip it. Okay, so basically we would say if local column is, do we have a nullable? I don't know if we have a is nullable. Let's make that. There's not an is nullable. How do we check for nulls? Array fill. Oh my God, it's so ugly. Or make nullables sometimes null and sometimes not. Y'all are crazy. I gotta be honest. I'd be very interested to see your all's code bases. That's funny. Okay. So array filter, columns, column modifier. Okay, so we really just need this portion of it. So if in array on the local column is nullable, then we continue. There we go. That should skip nullables. Cool. All right. Local column. Why do you not like method not found? It's weird. Oh, it's not a model. It's a column. Let's just get rid of that. We know it's there. Okay, run this again, and we should no longer have remarks, which we don't, which is good. So here's what I'm going to do to make this pass. We're going to go back, and we're going to hack our fixture, and we'll say in tests, test API shorthand, and I noticed something else too. This was name, and this was date, and this is now going to be just a quick little shorthand. This is super ugly. Again, we want to fix this. It's on the list. I'm going to leave it as a to-do, but just to end on a full green and kind of demonstrate the way in which we would want this to all work, this would be the code we would expect. So this should pass. It doesn't because, oh, the update, we got update for free. So let's go fix update. So update, update should be the original certificate. And this actually goes directly to the original kind of tweet that was out there where like they were doing certificate 1 and certificate 2, and then they were, comparing each other. We don't want to do that. We just kind of want to do this. What's interesting too, though, is update. Where are the assertions? What is going on here? Why are there no assertions? That's crazy. How has that not been reported? Okay, so we're green, but there needs to be assertions in update. That's bad. I'm gonna make that bug, and we'll work on those two next week. Okay, so this all passes. Let's see if we broke anything else. I just closed iTerm. Whoops. There we go. Workspace, CD blueprint, vendor, bin, PHP units. Let's see if we broke anything else, and we did. So it seems like there's some other tests that were using this shorthand as well that are now doing more than they should. I'm curious about this. Let's take a look at this. Output generates. This may be what I was talking about. What I was talking about earlier. I want to make sure this is valid. This is valid. Okay, so, my fingers are off today. That is not where I thought it was. Here is what I want. Here we go. This does model with custom namespaces YAML. Let's go look at this. Okay, no. So that's generating the correct bit there. Yeah, so those tests would need to be updated to reflect this new code. So we're going to do that. All right. What do we got? We got some chats here. A lot of risky tests in that generator. I handled those in my original PR as well. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean, Yost. Adrian, one last bug. Yeah, the final bug forever and ever. Okay, so Yost, tell me what you mean, because I don't know what you mean, but let's take a look at your PR, though, to see kind of what was changed here. So yeah, nice and tight. Just a couple changes. We can review these. So the test generator, if it's an API resource, yeah, you went the factory approach. Cool. Oh, did you add assertions for the update too? That's good. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, so you fixed that as well. Good. Okay, cool. So yeah, so your original issue found a lot of this stuff, which is good. So we can't really close this entire issue yet because, yeah, it has like 2 or 3 different things inside of it. So we'll definitely leave this open. But I think I'm going to go ahead and merge this once I get these other 2 tests passing, of course. So let's do git commit -m, or whoops, git add -p, and let's just kind of go through and make sure we know what we're doing here. Okay, so we loop over for each. This is kind of a to-do here. So let's do, why is Atom still up? So strange. Let's get rid of those comments, and let's leave this one a to-do. Cool. All right. So let's quit out of that, git add -p, and let's just review these for real. Okay, so we brought that up closer to home because now it's part of, there's no like fall through statement anymore. It's just an if and an else. So that'll be a good refactor next time because I hate nested code. We definitely don't want to add that. So let's go bring all of our tests back to life because we could have more failing tests than we do. So that would be bad. So let's bring these back to life and let's run all of our tests. Whoops. Let's run all our tests again. So still just those 2 failures, which in fairness is not that bad. We can fix those pretty quickly by honestly just copying their new format in there. And then of course our new test fixture would get added. And then let's fix these last 2 tests and call it done. So this is the category controller test. Category controller test. Category controller test. Where are you? Models with custom namespaces. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Here we go. Same issue as before. So let's just copy what it does expect, which is good. That's good. So it should pull name, image, and active. Cool. And it sends those out. Yeah, it's interesting that response. Where are like my response 200s and stuff? You know what I mean? That's crazy. Oh, it's an API request. Still though, it should generate. This should generate more assertions. So yeah, I think there's a lot more. There's actually a lot more work to do here. Okay. Let's pull that out. Drop that down there and see if we get one less. Whoops, one less error. Yes, we do. So what's next? Certificate. So it looks like we already had this tested somewhere else. Output works for Pascal definition. All right, let's see what this is really testing. Certificate Pascal case example. Pascal case example. Where's the YAML for this? Pascal case YAML. What's going on with Pascal case YAML? What's the goal of this test? So much code. Yeah, I don't like when these tests like do a whole bunch of, it used to make that, yeah, I remember the original issue. What I don't like is that so much code is generated from this draft. I normally like to try to make the draft files like very specific to what they're testing. So it's kind of hard to glean what we're supposed to be fixing here. But I guess they both probably need to be fixed. I don't know. Pascal case. Gross. All right, that's not it. Where is our... Yeah, this is the test. Okay, so this is what needs to get fixed. Yeah, store saves. All right, store saves. Boom. I think I added a line. Yes, I did. And then probably for update as well, which is needs some love anyway. Here we go. All right, let's see if these pass. Nope. Oh, I'm probably missing the other one now. Yes, I'm missing the document one now. So annoying. That's a overly large draft file. It's gross. Okay, certificate type, certificate Pascal type. So we really don't need, I think what I'm going to do is, honestly, I'm probably just going to drop out that extra test I made because it's kind of covered in these. But that's kind of the point. Like, I wouldn't have expected this Pascal case to cover the API validation stuff as well. So I don't like, that doesn't really communicate very well in my mind what these were doing. I also don't like that this test has 2 fixtures. It's a lot of work. All right. Nope. Did I do a line break? I probably added a line break somewhere I shouldn't have. Or got rid of one. Store saves. Yeah. No? All right, what's wrong with you? Let's do this. Git add dot. Generate it again, and let's see what's missing. It's a nice little trick when you have a bunch of fixtures and you know the code's working the way you want. We can just take this and plop it in here, and we can do git diff. Yes, there was a line break. Okay, so where is that line break is now the question. Test, that's not helpful. Git whip. All right, where are you? Where's my little line break that I'm missing? Here. Why is... I thought I added that. Oh well, let's run all the tests again. Where is this line break a problem? What the hell? Did I miss another spot? Or is this in the wrong file? This is certificate controller type. I gotcha. Where are you? Certificate controller type. Let's just take all this again. I don't know why there's 2 line breaks for one and not for the other, but that's okay. Let's see if this passes now. Okay, what did I change? Certificate type. I think I copied the wrong output to this file. I think that's really what I did wrong there. Yeah, I got confused because there were 2. That was my bad. Git diff -w. Yeah, I copied the certificate to the certificate type and not certificate. So again, just kind of, that was a rough test case. Okay, git add dash, or well, we know what's in there. Git add dash u, git commit dash dash amend. All right, so generate faker or generate fake data in test setup for validation shorthand. Too long. How about this? Proper test setup for validation shorthand. Or let's see. Well, it's really a fix. It's a fix test setup. I don't like proper. There we go. Fix test setup for validation shorthand. We'll say when using. No, for is fine. There we go. I like to craft those messages. Git push origin head. We'll make sure this runs. We could change the fixture for Pascal case to just one model with 2 capitals. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that's a lot of code that really just tests a very, very minute thing. And I mean, look how many fixtures we had. And as the code evolves and, you know, Blueprint starts to generate more things, like that one little test that really just should have checked, sure, a couple different features, but just that one thing has all this other code that it's responsible for generating. So that's why it's nice to have just the really, really tiny test. Like, try to focus it as much as possible. I know it's hard because, you know, you got to kind of set up your draft file to be full, but as you can see, it's a real big pain in the future for me as the maintainer or contributors to kind of get all that going. Okay, where's the new way to make a pull request these days? Pull request, I guess. That's weird. I wish. Yeah, there's still some features of this I'm like getting used to. Anyways, this is a partial fix for number 207, where Blueprint will now generate fake data for all the model or all the columns, non-nullable columns, when using the validate model shorthand. Non-nullable. Whoops. Non-nullable columns when using the shorthand. Still need to properly generate fake data for references to completely close the issue. Cool. Create that pull request. We're going to let this run in the background, and provided all those pass, which they're not, that's just the initial checks. Okay, so provided all these tests pass on all the various versions and platforms, I'll merge this, and I'm probably going to tag, there was another PR earlier in the week. I think that's technically a new feature. So, I mean, technically I could tag 1.15, but this is kind of a partial bug fix. Add Blueprint build only and skip options. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely new, which is cool. Or again, I may just leave this in master. I think I'm just going to leave all this in master. I think I'd rather have it fully tagged. And that way, if someone complains that it's generating a half bad test or whatever, I can just say point to master. But yeah, I don't think it makes sense to tag it when it's an incomplete fix, but I do want to go ahead and merge it so it's less code that, I have to deal with if anybody else makes a contribution. So I like getting things into master pretty quickly. I was kind of bad at that in the beginning, but then a lot of people's PRs got outdated or had conflicts because they sat for too long. So it's better. Yeah, I could do 1.14.1, but what I was saying was it would technically include that new feature. Unless I got really fancy with the branches to make the tag, which I kind of just don't want to do. So it'll just sit in master for a couple more days. while I get that out. And then we'll focus on the refactor next week because, again, the code's here. I just don't have enough time to stream today. I want to get some lunch and I need to get some things done this afternoon. So we will leave it at that. Looks like those are passing once we get that merged. But yeah, this is all that's left. And honestly, that code exists here in so much that it would solve the initial problem. Now, the generation of assertions and updates, those need to be reported as new issues, which I'll do. And that'll be the next final bug. So, all right. Well, thanks you all for watching. Appreciate you dealing with some of the audio issues. And we will do this again probably next week. See you then.